Inspire FM 105.1 FM. It's Friday, 30th of January, and the time has now just gone 10 o'clock. Welcome to Mother's Planet, a show where there is always something to talk about in a productive and beneficial way. I am your host, Neelum, and this morning I will be discussing technology and teen mental well-being, and hopefully sharing some tips and suggestions around this pertinent topic. So do have a pen to hand to jot down some of the points that I will be sharing. And listeners, I just want to put it out there. I am a mother of teen children, and I'm in no position to say I have mastered this, especially because, mashallah, I have a few teens in the house. They are all challenging me in different ways. And so what worked for one child didn't necessarily work for the other. So alongside of sharing some of these tips and suggestions with you this morning, I'm also taking down notes, mental notes of what I am sharing, because I still need to take down these suggestions and try them out on the kids, because not everything works on every child. So I am not an expert. I am just sharing some of the things that I've heard other people try, and some of the things that I have seen across the internet working with other parents as well. So, of course, I would always love to hear from my listeners. So, if you are tuned in this morning and you have some words of wisdom to share with us around today's topic, please do text or WhatsApp into the studio number 07779 481 822. Again, I would really appreciate hearing some experience. Perhaps you're a grandparent now, and so raising your children in the time that you did to what we are facing today is very different. But other things that we can still take from that time to now and implement this, I would really love to hear from you all. Now, listeners, I cannot start a show without having a moan about the weather, and most importantly, how fast the week has gone. I think this week literally whizzed by. I had a lot to do on my checklist for the week, and so alhamdulillah, I'm pleased to say that everything got ticked off and everything was done successfully. But in doing so, I feel like I blinked and it's Friday. I'm not sure if everyone shares the same view with me. Do you think the week went fast, or is that something just because I jam packed my week and had so many boxes to tick that it just felt like the week whizzed by? And the weather has been very mixed. But I must say it's been quite nice to see the sunshine, alhamdulillah. We had some of the sun creeping through yesterday, but the day before, on Wednesday, it was beautiful. That Wednesday morning, I actually went out and got some fresh air and really embraced that sunshine. It was beautiful. So I'm hoping we have more days like that. Now, listeners, the show is live on air, reaching out to all our listeners in Luton and surrounding areas through the airwaves at Inspire FM 105.1 FM. The show is also being streamed live on the Facebook page, and can also be heard via TuneIn using the Inspire FM webpage. So if you have any comments or questions around today's topic, please make sure you tune into those platforms there. And as always, I am taking in WhatsApp and text messages on the studio number 07779 481 822. Now, listeners, you'll have to bear with me this morning because I, after a long time, have woken up this morning with a headache, and I don't like this. I'm not usually one that struggles with sleep, but last night was a very difficult night. I found it very hard to go to sleep. And then when I did go to sleep, I felt like I didn't have a rested sleep. So yeah, I've got a bit of a headache this morning. So if I get my words jumbled up, please bear with me. It's the lack of sleep that's causing it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the show today is going to be about technology and teen mental well-being. Topics that I feel as a parent have become quite a concern, a growing concern, especially over the last couple of years now, as social media platforms are becoming more and more popular, and not only just with the adults, but alongside with the younger generation. And you know, when to give your child a device, I guess. It's really important, before I discuss my topic, to understand that technology is not the enemy. Now, as adults, I'm sure we are all very hooked on our technology and devices and the platforms that are out there. But it's also about finding that healthy balance, and getting your teen child to understand that there is a balance. And I guess this can only actually be implemented when we emulate this ourselves. So if we act as good role models with the usage of technology and the reliance of technology, then the younger generation can see this, and hopefully pick up the good things. And we are parents, and we are having a concern. So us having a concern about the usage of technology and our teens' mental well-being doesn't indicate failure either. So I just wanted to make it clear that technology is not the enemy. It's trying to find a way of making it work in our lives, rather than it taking over our lives. And as a parent, you showing any concern or any um, expression of care around this is just an indication that you want to find a balanced approach in raising your child, and it's not showing or indicating any signs of failure. So don't feel hard on yourself if you've stumbled across a stop point and you don't know what to do, because this is quite normal. And technology is forever changing. So I wanted to kickstart the show off with a question for all those that are tuned in this morning. And I guess it's one that won't have a definitive answer, but what age do you think, as a parent, as perhaps a teen, or anyone that's tuned in this morning, what age is having a phone suitable? So what age do you think it's actually suitable to hand over this piece of technology to your child that is entering into the digital world? What age do you think having a phone is suitable? Now, as I said, this question actually opens up multiple answers, because it all depends on circumstances. A lot of people would say, "Oh, I've given my child that's 12 a phone because they're walking home from school on their own, and I need to know that they've left school, got home okay, and they're fine." The important thing to focus on here is what they are accessing on their phones and how they are using their phones. So, when you give your child a phone, especially a smartphone, at a very young age, you are opening a can of worms. Now, I think there's a pilot advert which hasn't quite gone live, and I think it's been launched in America. And it's a father walking into his son's bedroom, and he hands him over a phone, and he says, "Oh, I'm giving you this, but be careful of the cyberbullying." And you've got a group of girls in a corner that are bullying and saying horrible things to him, and then you've got another person there saying, "I need your password and I need your username, so oh yeah, be careful of the hackers." And it's a very visual advert, where this parent has just simply given a child a phone, but in the room where this child is are all these other things that he's handing over to the child. And I think it's a really powerful advert, and it hasn't actually gone live, I believe, in the UK. It's something that's been piloted in America. But it really shook me, because I thought, wow, I think we underestimate the power of the phone, how much technology exposure they have, and social media platforms they have when you hand over the phone. From going back to my own childhood, which is not many years ago, um, to date, for me, I think the biggest change that I've seen in the usage of phones now is the access to social media platforms and the way people connect with each other. It's, We're moving away from the brick phones, which was literally just so that you could text or, let somebody know, I'm here, I'm going here, meet me here, or pick up the phone and make that phone call, which I do believe we're lacking a little bit, because now, on WhatsApp, you can drop a text message and you can drop a voice note. So you don't actually have to pick up the phone and speak to anybody. It's all just, text messages or little voice messages. And those simple games like Snake have long gone now, and you can now access anything on the smartphones, and it's all at the point of your fingertips. A little handheld device is giving you access to a whole world of digital technology. So I guess to start off with, to start off with there, I wanted to start the show off by looking at the positives, because, while we all are very angry and, feeling annoyed at ourselves, perhaps, of the reliance that we have on technology and how our teens are beginning to rely on it, we also have to remember that there are positives, and, there are things that technology is helping us move forward and do things faster as well. So there is the connection and belonging, the sense of being connected and belonging. So for many teenagers, phones and social media platforms are how friendships are maintained. Group chats, voice notes, memes, just as I mentioned, this is where their social world lives. And this is how they can communicate with their friends and stay in touch. And it's a global thing. So you don't have to be in the same country. You could have gone on holiday, met some people, and you wanted to keep in touch with them. And long gone are the days of having a pen pal and writing a letter to them and posting it out. You can just WhatsApp, leave a voice note, share your images on these platforms now and communicate with people at a global level. So, you are creating that friendship, that bond and sense of belonging. So for some teens, this kind of communication and connection actually is quite, excuse me, I've got a terrible throat. For that kind of communication, for these kind of teenagers that, are shy, communicating on WhatsApp in that way, where you are talking over text messages and social media platforms, is quite nice, because everything you're doing it behind closed doors. You're not having that face to face interaction, so it makes them feel safer. And it's doomed, and I say this in quotation marks, safer space for them, so they can, feel comfortable in that space. It's also, technology has allowed them to have a creative expression. So technology has given teens a way to express themselves, and this is through, video editing, creating art, making their own music, sharing or telling a story. So, for some, this isn't actually wasted screen time. They feel that they're actually having that, what we are traditionally used to, getting a pen and paper out and scribbling and drawing and making our piece of art that way. Some people find being on a technological device, and expressing it on social media platforms in that way, physically, is them being creative and giving them some form of identity. It's also helped with confidence building. Again, those shy children that cannot communicate face to face, having a digital platform has given them the confidence of sharing, perhaps, notes that they have taken, places they have seen, and be expressive in that way, which ordinarily, if they were having a conversation face to face, they probably wouldn't be able to do. So it's given them that space to be expressive and, share the wonders of the world they've explored. And again, giving them that confidence. So, no eyes are physically watching them. So they're not standing in a room and not everyone's heads and eyes are focused on them. They the social media platform, it's unknown. You don't know who's looking or what's, so you don't think twice when you post pictures or when you draw something and put it up or share something. These things are unknown, but it's again a way of being creative and expressive. Learning and information. So phones aren't just for scrolling. Teens use them to learn skills, especially for revision. The other day, my son, who's first year A level student, was sitting down on the laptop, and he was doing some catch up on his homework, and I looked at him, and he had his laptop out, and he was scrolling and just getting a few notes down and then jotting it down on pen and paper, but he was scrolling on the laptop, and I said to him, don't you need a textbook? Do you not need a textbook to be looking through and finding out things and making post-it notes? And I was looked at like I just mentioned something from the dinosaur age. Books are no longer valued. Everything is available online. And from a cost perspective, this is amazing because I can recall spending so much money at university, even at college, on books just so I had the resources so that I could study. And now technology has provided that all at our fingertips without a cost, without a price tag, and they can access an educational platform that we didn't have access to. And this is all free. And it's not just we were confined to when we'd made the commitment of buying a textbook, that was your textbook. Unless you wanted to go and delve in that subject a bit more, you had to go and buy another book and then have a stack of books. Whereas now you've got it all at your fingertips and you can take bits and bobs from each um, website and take notes of it and build your own. You could create your own book from these other free materials that's available so that you've got it all in one place, which again is fantastic. So, we can't fault technology for that because it's actually given them a bank of resources available so that they can learn. And, there's apps available now where you can download apps and learn a new language, or even skills like playing the piano. So, the technology has really moved on and has given them the ability to learn and find out information. Long gone are those days where we have to go and invest in books. Peer support and shared interests is the next positive point. You've got online communities that have helped many teens realize that they are not alone. This particularly works for those teens that tend not to have maybe siblings or are the youngest in the family, and their siblings are much older, and or they have, or the eldest and their siblings are much younger, and they feel that they don't have anyone of a similar age that they can communicate to. They have now these peer support groups online where you can share common interests and hobbies, and even mental health support groups are out there offering comfort and understanding. So there is a lot of support systems and networks out there. While your child could be struggling alone, they actually have all these excellent websites and online support systems in place to support your child through anything that they may be struggling with, which they may find a bit difficult talking to yourself or your spouse about. So they've turned to these platforms. And again, these are safe spaces, and a lot of these are accredited websites. So when your teen is turning to them and looking for support and advice, these are genuine supports and advice being available. Um, so that is, what technology is opening up to. The 4 points that I've just mentioned there. I'll go through those in just connection and belonging, creative expression, learning and information, and peer support and shared interests. These are the things that technology is opening up. So again, a question for you all to think about this morning. If we were to take the phones away, um, completely, what else are we taking away with them? Now, I've seen many families that have allowed their child to have a phone from a young age because they deserved it. They worked so hard and they deserve this, so they have a phone. And it you can let it slip. You can give your child a phone and say, right, you're not allowed to use the phone after 6 o'clock in the evening. And you're not allowed to have the phone in your room, so it has to be sat downstairs or in my room. And you can set all these restrictions around the usage of the phone. But there will come a day where you'll sort of relax up with those restrictions, like, okay, you can have the phone for an extra hour today, not 6 o'clock, but you can have it up until 7. And you will start relaxing on those restrictions that you were so forceful about, and now you're not so forceful about. And you will find that actually, before you know it, your child is playing on their phones at 10 o'clock at night. And all those restrictions you'd put in place, you let your own guard down, and your child is now so addicted to that piece of technology that you can't take it away from them. And by doing so, these four positive points that I've mentioned are some of the things that you'll be taking away from your child. That need of, I need to post this, I need to share this to my followers, I need to share this with my friends that are across the other side of the earth and I can't speak to them daily. It's, a need that's not necessarily a need, but it's a need that they've created and allowed themselves to get used to. So, when we are taking those phones away from them, we are taking a lot of their reliance and dependence on this device away. And I think children are beginning to forget how, and this goes for adults as well. And, we can't say we're not guilty of it, but we are almost forgetting how to live without our phones. And, having a phone is like a sense of security. I mean, many a times I've left the house and I've actually got into the car and I thought, oh, I haven't got my phone and I need to go back inside and get it. I have to take my hats off to my husband. He's quite good, although sometimes it can be quite annoying. But he doesn't. He's not. He's not. When he leaves the house, if he doesn't have his phone on him, he will just continue his journey. He doesn't feel like I need to have that with me, whereas I do. I feel like I need to have it because it's my mode of communication. If anything happens, or if I need something, or if I need to contact someone, or if someone needs to contact me, I feel like I need that phone. And we've become very reliant. And I have actually got cross with my husband the very few times that he has left the house without his phones, because it has been impossible to get hold of him. And it's sod's law that at that time I need to get a message out to him or I need to get hold of him, and I can't. So yeah, I don't know if that was a good thing, him walking out without a phone. But we are very dependent on our phones. And as much as we are concerned about the teens, we can see our generation is especially, because we were the ones that grew up with the brick phones and the snake games, and we were quite complacent. We were happy. We did not need anything else. And then social media came, and now, especially when you're running events and trying to get a product out, or encourage people to do something, social media platforms is great because it's your way of communicating. Long gone are the days of creating a poster, sticking it up on a wall and letting people know that an event is taking place. People need to see it on these platforms, and if they don't, those events won't get recognized. So it's quite hard. It's a very tricky world we're living in, but I think we are looking at trying to find a way of balancing it. Now, listeners, I am conscious of the break kicking in, and I did ask two questions that I wanted all my listeners tuned in this morning to have a think about and perhaps share your views around. Firstly, what age you think is the correct age? Or I think saying the correct age is quite difficult because there's not there isn't a right or wrong. But it's an open question. What age is having a phone suitable? In your opinion, what age do you think having a phone is suitable? And the other question I asked is, if we took these phones away completely from our teens, what else are we taking away from them or taking away with them? So, do we need to completely take away these phones? Are they, would we be destroying our child more, or would we be helping them in the long run? Share your thoughts. Drop me a WhatsApp or text message on the studio number 07779 481 822. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and what you think about this. Now, after the break, I will be talking about the challenges that technology brings, because of course there are challenges. So do stay tuned with me. But for now, we are heading over to a short commercial break. So refill your brew and join me after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Okay, do emails. Burnt toast. And now I've got to sort my repeat prescription.
Or just tap the NHS app.
The one I've already got?
Yep, you can check test results, view your GP health record, and request repeat prescriptions anytime, anywhere.
All while the kettle's boiling?
Before it boils. And turning on notifications means you'll know the moment you get a new message. We're delivering an NHS fit for the future. Never miss a message. Request repeat prescriptions and more when you tap the NHS app.
Enroll your child into Learning Stars Nursery and give them the best start possible to their education. Spaces are available now for children aged 2 to 5 years old. This is a safe and secure environment where your child will learn through play. To find out more about Learning Stars Nursery in the Saints area on Montrose Avenue next to St Margaret's Church, LU3 1HT, or to arrange a visit and to meet the staff, call 07588 711 652.
Looking for a school where your child can grow, achieve and feel truly supported in an Islamic setting? Oakwood Primary School and Nursery in Luton provide a caring, nurturing environment rooted in strong Islamic values. Our dedicated staff guide students spiritually and academically, helping them build confidence and a real love of learning. We're proud of our excellent inspection reports and the best Key Stage 2 SATs results in Luton, reflecting Oakwood's commitment to high standards and exceptional outcomes. Find out more at oakwoodprimary.co.uk.
Did you see that guy on TV?
What, that no comment guy?
Yeah, he was sick. What was his name?
I think it was Atiq Malik.
Yeah, Atiq Malik of Liberty Law Solicitors. Atiq Malik heads up the criminal law team at Liberty Law Solicitors, specialising in everything from serious crime down to road traffic offences.
To find out more or for a free telephone consultation, call 01582 459955.
Liberty Law, there when you need us most.
A large and elegant wedding and events venue in the heart of Luton, catering for up to 1,200 guests, with a 5-star food hygiene rating, plenty of parking, bridal suite, family rooms and prayer facilities. Crescent Hall's the perfect venue for your wedding, events, parties and conferences. We have some great offers for summer. Contact us to find out more. Call 01582 723386. Email bookings@crescenthall.co.uk or search for us online and social media. Crescent Hall Luton. Conditions apply.
Imagine facing a brutal winter without shelter and under constant attack. From the flood victims in Pakistan to the refugees from Syria, Yemen and Gaza, Families Relief is distributing essential winter aid worldwide to help the poor and needy with poverty, disease and basic necessities. Together, we can save lives. Donate now by calling 0114 365 4454 or visit familiesrelief.org.uk. Act now to make a difference.
Oh, Hilary, I was going to use newspaper display advertising. But it costs £10 per inch.
And that's too expensive.
Oh, indeed it is. I want to sell a 10-foot ladder.
Oh, Roger, invest in an ear-catching advertising campaign on this radio station instead. It's a great way to tell people about your products and service.
For details, click on inspirefm.org, then advertise. From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Mother's Planet. It's Friday, 30th of January, and the time has just gone 10:30. I am your host, Neelum, and in the show so far, I have been talking about technology and the impact of this on teen life and adult life. I have actually mainly focused on the positives, which I know we do struggle trying to find any positives around this, but there were a few for positives. Obviously, times moving on and technology is becoming a bit more. Fluid and lots of things. I mean, I think in the break there we had an advert around the NHS, getting the app and accessing your whole medical record now online. So, before we'd have to write to the doctors and get notes, and accessing our medical notes was very hidden, and now it's at our fingertips. So there are positives, but yes, there are alongside quite a few challenges that technology can bring into it. Now, before I go into the show, I did ask the question about if we were to take these phones completely away from our teens, what else are we taking away with them? Drop me a message on the studio number 07779 481 822 and share your thoughts around that topic. Now, the challenges. Comparison culture and unrealistic standards. This really this point really stood with me. Teens are constantly comparing themselves, and they are creating this culture of comparative living of, oh, he's got this and I need to do something better than that, and it's putting that pressure. I mean, back in the days when I was at school, the pressure was he's got a particular sports brand rucksack, and I need to get something either the same or something better, or I just need to be wearing a branded sports rucksack. That was the environment I grew up in. It's very different now, and now social media, technology, the advancements it has, it's allowing students from a very young age to be able to access things that we probably only discovered in our late adulthood life. And so, you have to remember that these pictures and images and videos have been carefully edited. So bodies, lifestyles, achievements, this is not all real. But as a teen, you don't see it like that. You just think, I'm going through that same trouble of not being able to pick myself up. This person's done X, Y, and Z, and they look great and are acting great and are being great. Why can I not be like that? So, they can start feeling like they're not enough. And especially when this comparative living comes where you are comparing yourselves constantly. And, even as adults, we struggle with this. As a mum, you will come across little reels of showing a mother who's got up early and cooked beautiful breakfast for her children, and they're all dressed and fresh and ready and off to school. And there's you that's just about making it out of bed and getting your kids some form of breakfast out. We're all allowed to have those off days, but when you see videos of these perfect lives, you almost start feeling like, I'm not living a perfect life, and we start taking what we are living. We're not grateful for it, the life that we are living, and it's quite a dangerous hole that you can go into. And this is the same for adults as well. And I have had a message come through. Let me just share this because I think this is something to do with the topic about, yes, comparison is the thief of joy. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Comparing ourselves to a person that's done something of a similar age or a similar lifestyle, and it's taking the pleasure away of what you are doing, because what works for your family and has been working for your family won't necessarily be the same for somebody else. And we shouldn't look to others. You should just enjoy what you are living and not compare, because yes, it takes away the fun element. Pressure to respond instantly. I have to say I am guilty of this, and I don't know why I have that compulsive finger to respond. But there's an unspoken expectation to be polite and always available. So when a message is left read, or you are doing a delayed reply, we can turn into this anxiety and guilt, and there could be conflict around this as well. And and I mentioned I am guilty of this because I feel like I need to respond now, because if I don't, I will forget. And actually, at my age and the life that I'm living at the moment, things like being forgetful is very common. So yes, I am quite, if I read a message and it needs a response, I will try and do it then and there, just because I will forget. But our teens, early adults, young adults, they don't see that, and sometimes they can actually look at that message and feel like they need to reply now, because if they don't, especially when they're group chats and they don't reply, they've missed out on a whole conversation. And oh, I should have inputted earlier, I'm not going to make that same mistake. So that's when the compulsive responses become that's how they live. Then they want to actually continuously respond straight away. So I think we need to start going back to thinking about a reply, and then sit down and take time out for it, rather than doing something impulsive. Sometimes, acting on impulse and reacting immediately, there are detrimental consequences, because we've not thought about our response. And there's many a times I've sent a message and I think, oh, that's not what I wanted to say, and actually I've had to go back and edit it, or I've had to go back and say, actually, that's not what I was implying, this is what I meant. And so it can get quite messy. So moving away and taking that time, but there is that challenge, the pressure to respond. Fear of missing out, being a FOMO, seeing what others are doing in real time can leave teens feeling really left out. And this was again when I was saying something about group chats, when it's a live conversation happening then and there, and they've not been part of that, they will start feeling that they've missed out. And the fear of everyone else is having fun without me can quietly impact their self-worth. Exposure to negativity and conflict, especially online conflict. Again, earlier when I mentioned the advert that was being piloted in America, where the father was handing over a phone to a child, but then in the same room were all these people, and there was a group of children from his school that were all whispering and saying stuff. And, and that's happening. When we were young, whatever happened at school and in the school grounds, and I'll see you tomorrow. And that was it. There was no, I'm going to see you tomorrow, and then you go home, and then you have all this backlash of horrible hatred, cyberbullying going on. And there is that cyberbullying, and it's given children the power, because you're doing it at the click of your fingers. Saying something face to face when you want to be mean and hurtful is so much more different when you can just text it and say it in a group. So it's given children and teens that power to be able to be horrible, be mean, be negative, and say what they want, because it's all at their fingertips. It's not something, when you say something mean to someone and you look at their face, if you've got an ounce of emotion in you, you'd feel guilty, it would hurt you. But saying it over the phone, not knowing the impact it's having on that person, you don't know, and you can get carried away with it. And this is what's happening. So people are getting cyberbullied, and this is a real thing, and it's a real issue as well. And arguments, don't now end at the school gate. They will go through the screens at home, and these kind of comments can be quite overwhelming and inescapable as well. And that's more inescapable than having an argument at a school gate and saying, I need to see you tomorrow, and that's it, because it's constant. It's not ended there. No clear switch off time. You, unlike previous generations, teens now really rarely get a mental break. We are constantly, our phones are constantly notifications, alerts, constant alerts and constant messages coming through, and their brains are always switched on and hyped because they need to know what's going on, be in the know, need to find this out. It's a news alert, it's a weather warning, it's a a message from school, university, college, and it can affect the mood, focus, and most importantly sleep, um, because you don't really know when to switch off. And it's quite dangerous, because I'm sure as adults many of us do it, and I know I'm one of them, that when you go into bed, long gone are the days where you pick up a book and help yourself go to sleep. You will pick up your phone device and you will scroll through the messages, catch up on the day and see what's going on, and which can be unhealthy, because it could be at a silly o'clock you are going to sleep, and um to pick up your phone and then realize that you've missed out on these messages, or you need to do, you're building that anxiety in your head of, oh, I've got to do a to-do list now, I've got to respond to this, or this is an action that I've got to take, and you're just building up that pressure, and so you are going to be affecting your sleep. So sleep is going to be really affected, and if sleep is affected, especially in teen life, it will impact a lot more than just their physical health. It will mentally start affecting them, because sleep deprivation is one of the world's silent mental health issues. If you don't get enough sleep, it creates these things of paranoia, things of feeling left out. It affects your diet. There's foods that you will just eat for the sake of eating. You're not nourishing your body. You don't have the energy to even think about getting physically fit. So sleep deprivation is really important. It's important to consider, and things like this will really affect your sleep, especially when we don't actually have a clear switch off time. So what to do? So, this is all showed us, I've shown you now the positives and negatives, and the negatives are quite daunting, and they have a huge impact on how our mental well-being is. So technology, the impacts it can have on your teen child's mental well-being is emotional impacts. They have increased anxiety, self-doubt, mood swings, feeling left out, and again, that constant feeling like they need to compare. The social impacts, they don't want to go anywhere. They just want to stay at home on their phone. So reduced face-to-face interactions and confidence. Teens are going to start forgetting how to talk to people. And while some jobs now are giving a lot of flexibility in working from home, and there isn't that let's have a face-to-face meeting anymore, everything's all online, it is creating that barrier with these teens. It's preparing them for a world that they don't need to be prepared for. They are not going to be able to talk to adults, and so it's yeah, reducing the social impacts, and physical knock-on effects, sleep disruption, as I mentioned. Sleep deprivation is a really big one there. Fatigue and low energy, and coming alongside with that, especially for teens, those that are doing important subjects like A levels or their final year at university, this can create reduced concentration, so that they can't focus, recall, or study, and they have brain fog. So it's really, those are the things that can actually impact their mental well-being. So it's important as parents we offer words of assurance, and we let them know that they're not on their own. Not every teen is struggling. Sorry, every teen is struggling, and there are many teens with similar issues and struggles out there. And everyone has their own issue. I've mentioned emotional, social, and physical knock-on effects, and you may have a teen that's specifically focused socially on the social aspects or the emotional aspects, or all three of these areas. So everyone is going through some form of struggle. And awareness and prevention is key here. So seeking advice, getting help is the first step. And so now it's a case of dealing with this so that they don't have further issues and or deeper issues. So how different would our mental health be if we never truly switched off? So if we really didn't switch off, how different would our mental health be? Drop me a message on 07779 481 822. Let me know what your thoughts are around that question. Now, how can we support our child's mental well-being in a digital world? I try to look at realistic approaches here and things that I'm doing as well. That I feel might work. It's working for some, and then again, when you let your guards down with the older children, it's might not be working for them so much. So you have to, it's all a case of trial and error. But the key thing is to try and not just say, okay, not today, not today, just start today, because the more we let them be, the deeper and deeper these issues will become, and we are going to have further issues. So, healthy technology habits, shared responsibility. It's not something that we expect just the teens to do, something that we can try and do as a family, perhaps. Um, Tech free times. So, having no tech at home, and we are going to have a moment of the day or an afternoon where we are going to be tech free and we're going to do things. Now, I was laughing with one of the radio managers that actually I've been watching a drama, and in this drama, it's showing how the world's going to come to an end, and we are all going to have to go back to doing the things that our ancestors traditionally did, of farming animals, growing your own food, making your own weapons, horse riding, archery, all of these things that we've lost total skills of. We are so reliant on technology and digital robots or devices to do things for us. We've got electrical vacuums that clean the floor for us. We're not doing it ourselves. We've got fridge freezers that tell us what's in our fridge. We don't actually open the fridge and look ourselves anymore. We are becoming so reliant on technology that we're forgetting our roots. And I think this is unhealthy. While those technology and advancements in those areas is cool to have and great to have, we just need to rein in what's important here and what is needed. Are we actually gaining any benefit from having a robot to do the mop? Why not do it as a family? Let's have an afternoon of cleaning and get the work done quickly. And you're doing something where you're all away from the technology world. Try and create habits of, I'm going to leave chargers outside the bedroom, so I'm not having my phone with me. It's going to charge outside. It's probably quite good to do that because you have the alarm outside in the hallway, or in another room, which physically have to get out to turn the alarm off. So you're 50% up anyway, so you don't have to go back into bed. It's easy to press that snooze button otherwise. Turning notifications off. You don't need to be notified by on everything. So turning the not important notifications off limits also the need to check what's going on, or what's the latest news, or what's happened here. So turning your notifications off. Talk to your teens. And I think this is a really important question, the thing here to do, exercise to do here, is talking to your teens. What is it that they like doing online? Know your children, understand. Some of it may be quite incomprehensible, and we might not understand some of the games or some of the things that they like talking about or doing online. It may be incomprehensible, but if we try and get into the medium there and say, right, okay, let's have a balanced approach here. This is something that you as a teen appeals to you in this 21st century. Whereas back in my days as a child, this didn't appeal to me. And that famous dialogue of when I was a child needs to stop. because they are growing up in a very different world, and we need to try and understand their world, um, so that we can actually nurture them. Because if we don't understand their world, we are going to be losing our teens and our children. And so we need to try and understand their world and find that balance. Have regular check-ins, talk to them, ask them if they're feeling low, give your child that time. It doesn't have to be about talk to me about your mood. It could be talk to me about your day. What did that happen? What's happening in this subject, or what's happening in that sport, or have you seen the latest car that's been made? Or talk about anything, but have those conversations. Allow your child to know that you are there so that they can talk to you and they don't need to turn to their phones and have these social media platforms and groups that they feel like they need to pour their heart out to them. Be that person. And I think it's when they come to you looking for advice, don't always feel like you need to have the answers, and I think that honesty will be appreciated when you feel obliged. They've come to me with a question and I don't have the answer, but I don't want them to think that I don't know, because if I say I don't know, they're not going to come back to me. That's not true. So, you have to, I think it's quite honest. It's something that maybe you can say to your teen, I actually don't know the answer to that. And perhaps it's something that we can look into together. Let's do our research together, find out about that a little bit more. And you're working on something together. And when I talked about having healthy tech habits, having those tech-free zones of the day where you're just not playing on your phone or relying on your phone. I do have a rule which I must say some of my teens are implementing. But we walk into the house when you've come back from school, college, wherever, and your phone goes on the sideboard, and that's it. You're at home, you're going to talk about your day, you're going to be with the rest of the family, and you're going to be present with us. You don't need to be involved in that world anymore. And so, having things like that has helped. We try to do family board games as well. Having something where we are doing something as a family. It could be a meal together where we are talking and we are tech phone free. We are talking and enjoying that family moment. These moments are very few. The children grow so fast, and I've put my mother hat on here at the moment, where I look at my children and I think, oh, the years have gone by so fast. And I think when they are academically progressing, you can see how time is just whizzing by. So we need to really catch them while we can, and save them from this technological world, digital world, where it could harm them and cause issues on their mental well-being. There are things that you can do as a family. There is an event that I'm going to mention, but just to end the show there for you listeners, I have been talking about technology and teen mental well-being, and I guess there isn't a real take-home message, but the practical advice is, having more family moments, shared short activities, go for a walk, cook together, um, get into their music, listen to the music that they're listening to, try and understand what kind of music they're listening to. A lot of music now is not music, it's a lot of spoken word artistry now. And if you listen to some of the lyrics, listen to what's being said, you'll probably get to understand your child a bit better as well. So be with them. And I think it's about just building that, creating that bond of trust. If you can trust your adult teen to be able to access this device in a safe way by being good role models yourself, then inshallah, they will be able to be sensible adults. And then you're training them to then train the next generation to have healthy habits on these technological devices and social media platforms. So, there are also, if you are concerned about your child and technology, there are a lot of schools that offer, contact the school first and foremost, because they will signpost you to the credited platforms for seeking help and community services that are out there as well. So if you find that your child is persistently low in mood, withdrawal behavior, lost interest in things that they're doing, and most importantly, lost their sleep habit or appetite, this is moments where you should seek help, and early conversations really make that difference. Now, I mentioned earlier, just before, there is an event happening, and I'm just going to find the event details because it's happening at the Luton Hat Factory. The Hat Factory ground floor cafe. It's free entry and it's a family board games club. And it's happening tomorrow, Saturday, 31st of January from 2 o'clock, till 6 o'clock. So go ahead and enjoy the day with your friends. Jummah Mubarak and Friday blessings to you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Coming up next, Bazminat with Brother Mehroz. This is Inspire FM.